really good. All those kids were sophomores last year, and they're all back. He's got them playing really well, and I don't think we played particularly well. And if you don't play your best game when you go into teams like that, you're gonna feel the consequences for that.
Coach, tell us a little bit about that game. You mentioned Coach Lynn. It's a storied program out there at Roswell, right? They've been a perennial power for a long time. This week, they're ranked number one. Artesia's ranked number two, and the Panthers come in at number three. Did
Mm-hmm.
you feel like your team, again, you beat Farmington, Coach Dalton, a friend and a colleague, right? You know him well. You
Mm-hmm.
beat Sandia, and that was a close game. You beat Sandia 14-12, a
Mm-hmm.
win against Durango, a win against El Dorado, a win against Goddard. You got a big win there, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you got it, a big win. Shut out the Vikings here in town, who's Coach Kobos has done a wonderful job since Coach Chav is retired out there, right?
Yes.
He's done a wonderful job. You go down to the Wool Bowl, right, in Roswell, and how did you feel? It's always a challenge, right? Now you know that when you go play Roswell down there, it's you got to be hyped a little bit, Coach, yourself, right?
Oh yeah.
Every game's big, right? Mia Murrah this week is big. You've got Hanan and Boleyn left. Every game's big. How did you feel your team acquitted? You lose 32-14 overall. How did you feel your team acquitted themselves against one of the best teams of the class?
I don't feel like we started well. We started off with a mix up on punt. First, we had a shift on punt that they jumped off sides, that didn't get called, but we didn't handle that very well, and so I think the kid kind of panicked. We were supposed to go ahead and punt the ball because the shift didn't work. And they faked it. He went to the second option. He thought he was supposed to fake it. Well, that gives him good field position, so they got a short field. And they punched the ball in, and then we come out second possession and throw a pick six. So now we're down 14-0. You just don't do that with good teams, And then after that, we kind of settled in, and we were playing back and forth. And I felt like the game was a little bit better, though, a little bit better as we settled in. I think they were more physical than we were. I was a little bit surprised. I was disappointed in our kids because we're much more physical than what I think we showed there, and I think our kids know that also. But those are tough lessons to learn. And here's the thing that we also understand is that just the way that it's set up, two or three, you're one, two, or three. It didn't matter if we faced Roswell based on the history. We're going to be playing in Roswell again. It doesn't matter where it is, where it's at. Is once you're past the semis, in the semis or past it, we're gonna have to make that trip. So the trip itself is definitely well worth it. Because anybody that's played in the state long enough, there's places that you have to go and experience with your kids in order to really know what it's like. And the Wool Bowl is one of those, and so is Artesia. Those are two must play places for your kids to because you can tell them all that you know about it, but they just don't understand until they go. So we do have that now. This group of kids has got it, and I really like this group of kids. They're hardworking. They've been through a lot. They've played. A lot of these kids had to play as sophomores, also, so they've been through the test, and they're multi-sport athletes, and I really feel good about them and how they'll handle it and make adjustments as we need to as we go forward.
You made a good point there. The Wool Bowl is one of those places that you think sometimes the moment is big, right? Everybody talks about the Wool Bowl. They talk about the Bulldog Bowl in Artesia, right? Coach Malpin is a fantastic individual, fantastic coach. Have all the respect in the world for him. You mentioned Artesia, and right away, all right, the myth, the legend, right? All
Yeah,
those things come to mind. They've got 30 championships. It
yeah.
speaks for itself. So did you feel like the kids or your team was at all intimidated by the moment, and are you glad that they got it out of the way and you move on?
Well, I don't know if intimidated. I don't think they're intimidated. This is just not what this group is like. I've had kids that I've had that were intimidated, and I would have told you right up front. This group doesn't really get intimidated by that stuff. But what happened is what they didn't. I think they weren't quite ready. They thought they knew what the speed of the game was going to be like, and they just got a different speed that they were anticipating. Maybe we were ready for at the beginning of the game, and you had to adjust. And you're going to get that. And the Roswells, the Goddards, the Artesians of the world, in our world down here, if you don't adjust quickly, or if you give them that jump, then they smell blood in the water, and that speed of the game is really quick, and you're going to have a heck of a battle from there on out. So we had some things. We had some things that I think, there's typically 5 moments in a game that if you win that moment, you're probably going to win the game. And we lost our share of those moments. Another moment was the little great play by Fuentes. He's going down. We have him in the grass, but he's about 1 inch off the ground and tosses it in the end zone, and their kid catches it like a little Hail Mary. But, that made the game 32-14. But that was just a heck of a play on his part. But those are type of things that I'm a believer in. You create your own breaks, and they were playing hard, so they had a break, and he was playing hard. His teammate was playing hard. It created a break that ended up in another score there, and that's another one of those moments you got to kind of win those moments in order to win the game.
Oh, so you know what? That 32-14 score may have been a little bit misleading. Give Roswell and Coach Lynn credit. You're not about to say anything other than that. I know that.
No.
But things happen, and the more I've watched football and covered it for some time now, you've got 11 men on one side, 11, and they've got to be executing. It's not an easy sport to coach. It's not. The more I look at it and see it, if you have when all 11 are in sync, it's a beautiful thing, right? But then you got one guy maybe holding offside. All those things come into play. Discipline, things like that. And towards the end of the year, Coach, when you guys are 6-1, you've got 3 tough opponents left. Miyamura, Highland, who's doing much better under head coach Phil Lovato, who told me this morning what a classy guy you are and what a great program you run. You've still got some table to run here. And what's the focus going forward? You got, again, what did you focus on your week off?
Corrections are the big. On my week off, we focused on the things that we felt like we needed to correct immediately. There are mistakes of hustle and there are mistakes of discipline and execution, and we focused on those. In a game, you're going to be playing hard, and there's going to be mistakes that are made just because you're battling, and it just didn't come your way, and those are going to happen. It's the unforced errors that are unexcusable, and that's the ones that we're focusing on and really concentrate on. And you're exactly right. Valley, Highland, Miyamura are all vastly improved from last year, and my hat's off to those coaches. I feel like we try to have a good relationship with them and have a lot of respect for Coach Cobos and Villalobos, and those guys are also doing a great job with their kids, and it's great to see, because I hate to see when people get down on teams, and you know this as well as anybody, how it's a tough job. It's a tough job, and these coaches coming out of COVID have found a way to grow their programs. That's a heck of a job. I don't think that gets talked about enough. They've grown it in size, and now they found some consistency and execution, and I think it's paying off for them. And I'm really happy to see those guys having that success, because it was tough job and a well-earned effort to get to what they're doing right now.
That's a very good point, because you and I had a brief talk the other night. Highland, as you know, was a football power for years and years, right? Under the legendary coach Bill Gentry, Mark Henry, Gary Sanchez. They had some very good coaches there. And then everything changed in that district, and it changed in Valley's district as far as parents moving in with kids. The boundaries changed. So I commend both coaches. Judge Chavez laid a good foundation there at Valley for Coach Cobos, who was an assistant waiting to get a chance. He's done well with his Vikings. And at Highland, Phil Lovato, down to 21 kids last year, 22, right, out of COVID. Built it back up to 65, 70 players this year, and they've had some success. And, he's, I'm sure, looking forward to one game at a time. Every coach is going to say they can't look ahead. You got Miyamura this week. But, Coach, your own outstanding background, we have to mention this, New Mexico, Ralph Boyer Coaching Character Award in 2018, overall record, 123-89, 8 quarterfinals, 2 semifinals, 3 first round, 1 COVID bowl. I think I might have even called that bowl. I'm not sure. But you've been around, Coach.
Yeah.
You're also the head track coach. And you played at Fort Lewis, which I was just there in Durango this weekend as the defensive back from 87 to 92, an all-conference defensive back. Then the RMAC, and I'll tell you one thing, I cover Western New Mexico, the Lone Star. That Lone Star Conference is a beast. And the RMAC is as well. Talk a little bit about what all those football experiences has led you into the coaching experience that you have now.
Well, it goes all the way back to I've been playing football or been involved in football since I was in second grade, all the way, and it's kind of been a family thing. So football's been in my family for my whole life, and it's really shaped me into the man that I am, and I've come all the way up, and things I've learned, and I've continued to evolve. I'm still not the same coach. I have kids. I coach Jeff Dalton at Farmington High. I've had several coaches. There's coaches around. I'm not the only one, but I've had players that I've coached. I'm the old guy. I was the young guy when I first started out, and I blinked my eyes a couple times, and all of a sudden now I'm the old guy in the district in the area, and I've got these younger guys that come and ask me questions, and I'm thinking, oh crap, when did that happen? So it happens very quickly. The years go flying by. I spend more time enjoying the professionalism of the coaches around me. That's what being involved with the Coaches Association has done for me. It really plugged me into our coaches more often, and you really get to see some great people in our state that I don't know that get enough credit and sometimes don't get overlooked and whatever. But there's some great coaches and some great human beings. Like you said, Coach Maupin, I feel great about him. I think he's, one of the great young coaches, just great coaches, period. But it's great that he's young too, and a supreme human being, which I'm big on. So I those things have led me to where I am now. And we've been here for a while. And like I said, I coached at Farmington, and we played Roswell when we were in Farmington, in the semis, and we played the Clovis's, and then we played Bobby Newcomb. I was just a young coach, and we played Bobby Newcomb when he was a junior, I believe. It was at home, and we beat him. I didn't know who Bobby Newcomb was, and I had someone ask me, "Go, how did you shut him down?" And I was like, "Well, we put our best guy on him, and we had a game plan, and then that's just what we did." I just didn't know. I didn't know who he was yet. I knew he was a great player, but I didn't know who Bobby Newcomb was. I did after that, for sure.
Oh, man, I bet. Coach, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about this year's version of the Piedra Vista Panthers after these messages on the Sports Desk.
In Lujan. Vikings, one more chance. It is over. Marissa Sanchez on the play. That is...
I've had a bunch of long sleeves.
Torres with a lot of room. Torres with a stiff arm as he crosses the...
Our serve. Les was the one who got it, and she feeds Kozlowski.
Three serving nothing. Tipman, Hatch pushing it over, and the side out. Emma Mori Thorson was there. She takes it side out.
Down the sideline, it's intercepted. So there's the pick part. Now let's see if they can make a tackle.
Good kick.
Yeah, we would want some lateral.
Aaron Nelson. She's got it again. That's twice already in this service.
Good hold, it is blocked. The kick is blocked, and Bell will fall.
Vance. Meyer back to Vance. Ooh, perfect placement and power. CC Vance goes cross court.
In the village of Los Lunas. Handed off to Torres. A lot of room to the right side. Torres is off to the races. Three Bulldogs are not going to catch. Lower leg injury there, apparently, at that one. Tierman's gonna unload up the middle. He's got his man open. He makes the catch, and it could be a touchdown to end the half for Los Lunas. It's Mr. Reliable, Fabian Trujillo, on a 91-yard touchdown pass from Paul.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
As a mom, I try to make the best choices for my family and our health. That's why I choose Western Sky Community Care. It's a Medicaid plan with quality health coverage and special benefits like Boys and Girls Club membership credit, additional dental benefits, and wellness and support programs. I decide which Medicaid plan is right for us. I choose Western Sky Community Care.
Learn more about Western Sky Community Care by visiting discoverwesternsky.com today.
Hi everyone, my name is Master Sergeant Jacob Groves. I am an Air Force Special Warfare Pararescueman. Air Force Special Warfare are proud supporters of ProView Network and New Mexico Youth Sports. Air Force Special Warfare operators are critical thinkers. They maintain a high level of fitness, they take initiative, and they don't quit. For more information on Air Force Special Warfare, contact me at the number listed below.
U.S. Air Force Special Warfare are proud supporters of ProView Sports.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
We here at Clark's Pet Emporium welcome you to bring in your pets. We know that having your pet with you makes the experience of shopping for them even better. And we welcome you to bring your kids also. Clark's Pet Emporium, your pet's second best friend.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk, screened on our Facebook page. I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with producer Alden Iwani. Our special guest today, Piedra Vista Panthers head coach Jared Howell. And, his Panthers are ranked number 3 in the state, 6-1 so far, 0-0. And district coach, thanks again for joining us. I'll tell you, anytime I've got any coaches on talking about kids and amateur athletics, it's not easy. You've given your life to this, man. You've influenced a lot of kids in a positive way. You mentioned mentoring to other coaches. That must mean something to you, because you went to other coaches when you were younger, right? And picked their brain. And now you've got coaches picking your brain, and they speak very, very highly of you. That's got to mean something to you.
I really appreciate it. And it does. I mean, I've done this is going to be my 30th year. So I've been in here for quite a while, but I've gained as much as I've given from the kids, and Coach K. Wood at Kirtland was one of my mentors also. And he was asked one time, what's your win-loss record, Coach? And he said, well, I've won a few thousand and I lost a couple hundred. And the interviewer was like, wow, you won over 1,000 games? He goes, oh, games? He goes, no. He said, I'm talking about people. And, there's a lot of coaches that really subscribe to that. And I can tell you, I can think about all the great relationships I have with kids, and you can always remember the ones you lost, because those were the hardest losses that you ever had. Wasn't in the loss column on game day. It was the loss column in the human world, where you really tried to save a kid and you just couldn't do it. Those are the ones that really hurt, and they stay with you. And when you retire, you still think about those kids. But I've been blessed, and I've been blessed in coaches too. I tell you what, getting to know the coaches around the state, I really enjoy them, and I learn a lot. And I don't think you ever stop learning. I don't think the good coaches. I've been in coaching clinics, and you could watch Cooper Henderson, the head coach, legendary Cooper Henderson. He's in there. All the top coaches are in there still learning, and they've never thought they know it all. They're still learning, and I think they're the real testament to the coaching profession in itself.
Well, you're a part of that. There's no question about it, right? Anybody that and you mentioned that the people part. I think that's because through sports we learn so many lessons, right? Discipline, hard work, and you know what? We have to learn how to win and lose. The losing part kills us as coaches, right? It does. You don't enjoy your wins as much, but your losses they eat you up. The wins you're already thinking about next week, like the quarterback wasn't in right position there, or the offensive guard was 2 steps off the line, right? Those are things that come to your mind, so you're not thinking, wow, great. There's still more work to do. So you really never get to relax and enjoy. But those losses, whoo, man, you can take a loss, I'm sure, and probably think about it for days, and you have to let it go eventually, right? But if you're a competitor, like I'm sure you are, you probably wake up like, heck, how in the heck did we lose that one, right? And it happens because you can't win every one of them.
Yes, that's exactly right, and I can subscribe to it. I think the losses hurt. They don't ever hurt any less from when you first start out to being in it for a long time. They don't. They just hurt, and they'll eat at you, and sometimes for different reasons. But as you get older, the things that you feel like you can control that didn't get done, or where you failed. We are always hard on ourselves on our failures, and the wins feel good, but they don't last as long as the losses do. So, but that's why we are who we are. We continue to evolve and continue to change and continue to tweak and continue to build and break down and build back up. All that's part of that, just part of that trail of life that we have to go on as a coach. And I don't think I know it's not just in the game, but coaches live their life exactly like that. So those losses happen in their family life, and they're trying to figure out how to do it. They're trying to fix it. That's probably why we drive our wives crazy, because we're always trying to fix things and tweak it, because it's a loss in our book if we don't get it done.
Absolutely. I'll tell you what, Coach, tell us a little bit about your offensive and defensive units. Let's go to your offensive unit first. Is that your son that's the quarterback, Logan Howell?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about father-son relationships. I'm sure you're harder on Logan than you are on any other player, right? He's your quarterback. Talk a little bit about your offensive unit, and we'll get to your defensive unit. He's passed for 719 yards, 66.3% percentage completion-wise, 55 of 83. Talk a little bit about him. He's also rushed for 293 yards. Your big running back there, Zach Mora Dotson. He's got 458 yards on 52 attempts, 8.8 average. Talk a little bit about your offensive unit. Let us know how the Panthers have been doing there.
Offense has been much improved. We struggled last year, but we struggled up front. A lot of the skilled kids are back, and even the linemen were all back from last year. But the difference has been their commitment and their knowledge and willing to learn more. Logan's improved quite a bit. I tease him as being the skinny little white kid playing. I'm like, we're kind of an option-based team, and why am I picking one of our slowest guys to be the quarterback, but because I'm the track coach also. So we had a bet I would get coach of the year automatically if I could get him to break 12 flat in the 100. And I almost won coach of the year I missed by 0.02 of a second. So don't let me go. Don't let me. So anyway, but no, Logan's done a great job. And I learned, I have 2 kids that have played for me and gone through, but I had an oldest son named Garrett, and he went through. And I, as a new coach coming in, when I was brand new, one thing that I was really afraid of is I just didn't want to be the coach that raised everybody else's kids and forgot about his. So it weighed on me how I was going to figure that out. So I polled every single coach I could that had a kid, and I talked to people. And to be quite honest, it was about a 50-50 split. The worst thing I should ever did and the best thing I ever did. But the one guy that changed my perspective and really helped me out was Colt McCoy's father, that I got a chance to speak at one of the New Mexico coaches clinics. And I said, hey, look, I have kids coming up. How did you do it? And he gave me some really good advice for life, and I think it's good for anybody to hear. He said, well, first of all, my wife and I decided before we had kids that we were going to prepare our kids for the path and not the path for our kids. And I took that as like, oh, I'm with that 100%. That you said it better than I ever could have. So we talked about, are you still there? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
I said, well, I'm not going to run in and take all the hurdles away from my kids, my personal kids or my players. We're going to teach you how to get over the hurdles, because one day we're not going to be there. And I think it's a much crueler fate for you to clear the hurdles and then leave them alone and them have to run in that hurdle and hurt for it then. So I took that to heart, and I really tried to apply that in my coaching and in my life with my kids. The second thing was that he said I had to have a talk with my son. I said, son, you're going to have to know when I'm coach and when I'm dad. And he said, I ripped my kid one day so bad. He said, I was hard on my son. He said, I was so hard that I had my own players telling me, hey, look, you need to back off. It's not right.
Yeah.
And he said, I just totally destroyed him one day. And we were on our way home. And he said, no one was talking because we were both mad. But he said, my son looked at me and said, I'm not sure if it was Colt. I think it was Colt that said it. Said, Dad. And he said, what? He goes, well, today, was that Coach or was that Dad? And he said, that was Coach. And Colt said, okay. He said, I knew right then that we were going to be fine. I'd had these same conversations with both my sons. My oldest son, on his own volition, decided that he would call me coach in practice. He never called me coach at home. He called me dad. But he made a literal distinction for him. He compartmentalized it. And it worked. And the kids are like, why do you call your dad coach? He goes, because he is my coach. And then so we've kind of done that. And you know what? Lucky for me, I'm blessed in the part that the two experiences I've had have been great ones. And I'm going to credit that experience with Mr. McCoy for that knowledge and that was passed on to me. So anytime I get a chance to pass it on to somebody else, if that's going to help a coach, dad, father team, then I hope it works for them as it worked for me, because it's been a blessing and it's been a great ride for that.
Invaluable experience. I'll tell you what, we got about 2 minutes left. That's a great story about your son, because I remember coaching my son in AAU basketball, and sometimes, we butted some serious heads. We did, and I was harder on him than I was on anyone, and we didn't always get along, but we got over it, and we love each other very, very much, and it's, something that's important to note. Tell us about how your defense is stacked up this year. They've done a great job. Tell us a little bit about your defensive unit before we wrap it up.
Good. A lot of 2A kids. We got a secondary that was young and has come back. Names I'll throw out there: Bryce, Jocelyn, Dax V. Hill are really good. I got a kid named Jacob Schroeder that's really come on as a corner and had a great season for us. But Zach Moore Dotson, we talked about him on offense. Has been a great leader. Unfortunately, broke his leg in the Valley game, so we did not have him for Roswell, and that hurt. We missed him. Xavier Lefebvre on the outside is a real hard-hitting outside linebacker. So we got a lot of kids that I think run pretty well. I don't think we're particularly big up front. Well, I say that, but our nose guard was 6'7", about 210.
Wow.
But
man.
About 6'6", maybe 6'5", 210. But he also got hurt in the Valley game, broke his shoulder blade. So we probably missed him a little bit too. But other than that, we're not real, I don't think, scary looking up front, but we got a bunch of kids that run well, and I think they just understand the scheme. We really talk about it, and I ask them questions like, "What do you see here?" I'm able to converse back and forth, so I know what they're seeing, and it's a real good team effort as far as that goes. That's a real blessing when you have kids that understand and they watch the film, and they come to you and say, "Coach, I saw this. What do you see?" And the funny story was when we played Goddard. This is a testament to our kids. We're playing, and I don't know. We said they're going to run a counter or something, and the Goddard kid said, "These kids obviously watch film," and I thought that was just a great compliment to our program and our kids, because they do watch film and we do study, and it was noticed by someone else, because only people that watch film and study understand what somebody else.
Other people that watch film and study. Coach, we're going to have to wrap it up, but I'll tell you what an invaluable experience having you on. But we can't thank you enough. You got Mira this week. You got Highland, and you've got Berlin. 3 tough teams on the Panthers schedule. We wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season. And once again, thank you for being on the Sports Desk.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. For producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the Sports Desk. Coach, thanks, man.